It's 2018 and we are in the middle of a vaping addiction crisis. Nearly everyone is talking about a new company called Juul and how millions of teenagers use their products. Right from the beginning, it is very clear that they use different marketing and manipulation tactics to get teenagers to use their products. Even though a lot of people call their new vaping product revolutionary, it is very clear that there is something off, because there isn't a big difference to Big Tobaco. They use celebrity endorsements as a marketing tactic to manipulate the teenagers to get their products. This is the story how they did it.
It's June 2015 and Mimi Sweeney, then 17 years old, receives a message of a friend from hers. Something about some flashy new product by a company called PAX Labs, a company she probably never heard of. Mimi's friends tell her about this exclusive email invitation for the launch party of a revolutionary new vapor product, Juul. Mimi herself, an occasional smoker despite her young age, decides to visit this launch event and receives the details of the event. It takes place in Jack Studios, a location situated in Chelsea, Manhattan. With a fake ID in her pocket, she arrives at the party. An exclusive, modern, loft-like location filled with influencers on dance floors, screens with the hashtag Juul on it, and a lot of USB-looking devices. When taking her first puff, she recalls the pleasure of not coughing. She's excited and curious with no idea that this night will mark only the beginning of an addiction crisis among her peers. But before we can decipher how millions of teenagers got addicted to mango and mint-flavored vapes, we need to take a look at how Juul became the epitome of Gen Z marketing and how it all started. It's 2004. Between classes of the graduate program and product design at Stanford University, Adam Bowen and James Monsees are taking a cigarette break. While smoking, both of them realize they crave for an alternative to replace cigarettes. Their core goal? To remove the dangers of smoking, to save lives, but keep the ritual of smoking. Their competitor? No one other than Big Tobaco. Easy, right? While presenting their thesis, James states that it turns out that actually burning tobacco is the real problem, and moreover, nicotine is addictive. Clearly, but it's not the nicotine that's really hurting you, it's mostly the combustion that's a problem. However, the path to Juul as we know it today was paved with market research, failed products, and lessons in marketing. Market research proved to be the first hurdle for Adam and James. Normally, you'd have to do a lot of research, hold focus groups, look for investors, etc. But there was a way how to skip the long way of getting knowledge of the market. Due to the Master Settlement Agreement, internal classified documents of the tobacco industry were made public at the University of San Francisco. Suddenly, they hold the key to success in their bare hands. And thus, a century worth of manipulation, strategies, and research by the tobacco industry paved the way. The only thing which was missing now was the product itself. After both graduated, it was showtime. The two friends launched a startup company called Plume in San Francisco in 2010. After collecting money from venture capitalists, both launched the Plume Model 1, a product similar to the device that they've presented in their thesis in 2001. Plume Model 1 was a vape pen which would heat pods of flavored tobacco, and it sucked. Users got shocked by the device on a regular basis, and you had to refill it with butane gas. On top, pods would burn the lips if the top would pop off. If it wasn't for Japan Tobacco Inc. and its investment of $10 million in Plume. What I didn't mention of Adam and James' findings was the fact that it was Big Tobaco itself who, for half a century and billions of dollars of investments, tried to disrupt the cigarette before. They just failed at doing it correctly and saw in Plume an opportunity to achieve that. Ironic, right? Japan Tobacco Inc. definitely didn't regret their investment, considering they made almost $54 million in 2022 with Plume alone. With the new acquired cash, Adam and James set out to develop two successors of the Plume, one called PAX, which was released in 2012, and the other called Plume Model 2, released in 2013. People started to draw comparisons to Apple since it was a pretty chic and state-of-the-art product and came with an unbelievable $250 price tag. If you compare it to the average price of cigarette packs in 2010, which was $6.32, it was pretty clear for both of them that they need to lower the price to reach a wider audience with their product. PAX, due to its vaporization capabilities, was also attracting a different target group than envisioned: marijuana smokers. Vaporization would allow marijuana enthusiasts to smoke weed more effectively and safer. Much to the dismay of Japan Tobacco Inc., the PAX would not solve the initial goal that Plume was acquired for. That is why the Plume Model 2 used to rectify a lot of the drawbacks. no butane gas, no electric shocks and burning, but therefore better taste and a sleeker, more elegant design. That comes with a price of $40, which was much lower than the price of other vaporizers at the time. Nevertheless, PAX was a much bigger success than Plume. But something else added to the financial success of both Plume and PAX, the beginnings of Gen Z marketing. The secret formula. It is already in 2013 where Gen Z marketing is starting to cook. Use of influencers and celebrities to showcase devices. It's also cool, launch parties in converted churches of San Francisco, or who's sponsoring album release parties in New York City. Do you remember Robin Thicke? I honestly don't remember very much of him, but I do remember the models and women posing together with him, and one of them holding something that looks like, wait a sec, right, a plume. To quote Lauren Eder in her book, The Devil's Playbook, Big Tobacco, Juul and the Addiction of a New Generation Crown, the rough template of using social media and influencers and high-end parties was looking like it could be a surefire formula. The event was also covered in Social, a life cycle magazine in which the writer nailed it. The event is a hit, with celebrities weaving in and out, gingerly puffing from plume products and taking pictures. Robin Thicke performs, and the crowd goes wild. Forget dusty garages, dull boardrooms, and immature dorm rooms. This is how we start up parties, and this is how our brand is cemented. Does that ring a bell? Exactly. Mimi. So we're back at the Juul launch party in Chelsea in 2015. Mimi tells us that the screens all had hashtags on them, which gave us the cues for what to put into our post. We were told to post it anywhere we wanted. We were dancing, having fun. A simple party wouldn't be enough for myself to name something a Gen Z formula. So how did it really work besides Juul stating that they want to create an alternative to adult smokers? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you how to get a generation addicted. First, the product itself needs to be a banger. Jamie Ducharme, author of the book Big Vape, The Incendiary Rise of Juul, states that Adam would vape all day long and still find himself with nicotine cravings. This fueled the search for an alternative to freebase nicotine, which was used in mostly all of the e-cigarettes on the market at this time. Juul needed an alternative in nicotine delivery to give the same, if not a better sensation than a cigarette, and the chemist delivered. It was a combination of nicotine salts and organic acids that would allow for the buzz and a smooth throat hit. Smoother than the previous products and definitely smoother than cigarettes, and boy did it buzz. The nicotine concentration of one pot was the equivalent of a whole pack of cigarettes. On top, they just tasted better, the most popular ones being mango and mint. They were presented in flashy colors. It was much easier to smoke a pot a day than a whole pack of cigarettes with that kind of taste. And the smell, non-existent. It was easy to smoke everywhere. Design-wise, the Juul, just like the PAX, was heavily reminiscent of an Apple product. It just looked sexy. It could be easily disguised as a USB stick in class. Everything around the product, how it was perceived, seen, felt, sounded, and smelled was almost perfected. It already looked cool, now it just had to be sold as such. The second part of this is the marketing. Marketing has to pop off. So here's a question. How far do you go to beat your enemy? Do the ends justify the means? In Juul's case, it was easy. Beat them with their own trick. Plume was just the start that showed this works. Why not try it with Juul as well? Mimi was attending an event that was part of the Vaporized campaign. Part of that campaign was to target hundreds of different influencers and celebrities in New York City and Los Angeles, including model Bella Hadid, who was 19 at this time, and world-known actor Leonardo DiCaprio. Sampling among celebs and influencers helped to spread the product across the US. This is, upon today, common practice for brands. If your target group are teenagers, it only seems smart to advertise via influencers. They tapped into social media influencers who've made vaping look cool and harmless. Remember those Instagram posts with hashtags like hashtag vape life or hashtag Juul pod challenge or hashtag Juul Nation? Yeah, that was all part of their strategy. They took over platforms like Instagram, Snapchat, and YouTube with influencer collaborations and visually appealing ads. Videos of young, attractive individuals having fun at parties while vaping gave the impression that everyone was doing it. The campaign didn't solely focus on celebrities and influencers, but on ads on billboards in Times Square as well. They used vibrant colors, sleek designs, and targeted ads aimed at young people. The advertisements showcased Juul as the futuristic, fashionable choice for modern teens and young adults. Just like Big Tobaco, coolness and lifestyle was used to sell to younger people. They even went as far as sending representatives into school. How do the founders feel? Did they achieve their goals? Both Adam and James, as of 2024, are not affiliated with Juul any longer. Juul's story is a fascinating example of how life can imitate art, don't you think?